Have you ever wondered what it really means to be an EMT? Beyond the sirens and the flashing lights? Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on the entire system that supports these frontline pros. Okay, let's get into it.
This is often the very first line you'll read in an EMT textbook. And honestly, it's true. This isn't just another job. For a lot of people, it's a calling. You're stepping into a world where you can make a real, tangible difference in people's lives every single day. That's a heavy responsibility for sure, but the rewards, they're just immeasurable.
So what does it really take? It's not just about knowing first aid or how to drive an ambulance. It's about mastering your specific role inside a really complex system and doing it all while being that calm, steady presence for someone who's probably having the worst day of their life. Okay, first things first. Let's get down to the basics of the day-to-day. When you're on a call, what are you actually supposed to be doing? These are the core responsibilities, the fundamentals that every single EMT has to get right. The first thing, and I mean always the first thing, is scene safety. You can't help anybody if you get hurt yourself, right? So once the scene is safe, then you can focus on your patient. You're going to do your assessment, provide that basic emergency care, and, just as important, offer comfort and reassurance. From there, it's all about getting them to the hospital safely, communicating clearly with the team that's waiting for you, and finally, documenting every single thing that happened. Every step is a critical link in that chain of survival. So here's the best way to think about it. You are the bridge. You are literally connecting the chaos of an emergency scene to the definitive care of a hospital. You're that first medical professional they see, and the care you provide in those first few minutes, it can change everything. But knowing how to do things is only half the battle. The other half is knowing what you're actually allowed to do. See, every single action an EMT takes is governed by a super strict framework of rules. So who makes them? Well, it all starts at the very top, at the national level. The federal government puts out this blueprint called the National EMS Scope of Practice Model. Now, this isn't a law book. Think of it more like the official recommended guidelines for what an EMT should be able to do. It just sets a baseline for the whole country. Then, that blueprint gets handed down to the states. Each state's EMS office takes that national model and turns it into actual law. And they can choose to be more restrictive than the national guidelines, but they usually can't be less. This is where the rules start to get real. And then there's the final layer, the one you'll deal with every day. That's your medical director. This is a physician who oversees your specific agency, and they write the step-by-step protocols you follow on a call. They can also limit what you do, but, and this is super important, they can never let you do something that goes beyond what your state law allows. So, you've got the national model, state law, and your local protocols. What does this mean for you on the street? Well, here's the aha moment for every new EMT. Your true scope of practice, what you can actually do, is only in that little area where all three of those circles overlap. If the feds in the state say you can do something but your local medical director says no, then the answer is no, period. Now, that control from your medical director comes in two flavors. Most of the time, you'll be using offline control. Think of those as your standing orders, the playbook you've already memorized. But every now and then, you'll need online control. That's when you actually get on the radio, call the hospital, and talk directly to a doctor to get orders for a weird or tricky situation. Okay, so you know your duties and you know the rules. But you're not out there by yourself. You're a key part of a tiered response team, with different folks bringing different levels of training to the scene. So let's take a look at how that team is set up. All right, let's break down the lineup. At the foundational level, you've got the EMR, or Emergency Medical Responder, who's all about that immediate life-saving care. Next up is the EMT, the backbone of the ambulance crew, providing what we call basic life support, or BLS. Think oxygen splinting, stopping bleeding. Moving up, the AEMT can do all that plus some advanced life support, or ALS skills, like starting IVs. And at the top, you have the paramedic, who provides a huge range of complex ALS care, from reading hearts on a monitor to giving all sorts of advanced medications. The really cool thing about this structure is that it's not some rigid chain of command. It's all about collaboration. Everyone from the EMR to the paramedic is working towards the exact same goal. Each level just brings a different and vital set of tools to the problem, so the team can handle pretty much anything. So where in the world did this whole system come from? I mean, it didn't just appear overnight. And maybe more importantly, how does it keep getting better? Well, the answer is a constant dedication to learning from the past to make the future safer. The story of modern EMS really kicks off in 1966 with this bombshell report they called the White Paper. It exposed the shocking and often deadly state of care people got before they ever reached a hospital. And that report was a massive wake-up call. It started a revolution that led to the first national curriculum in the 70s, standardized all the provider levels in the 90s, and now has us looking ahead with a vision called EMS Agenda 2050. But how does the system actually improve on the ground day to day? It happens through a process called continuous quality improvement, or CQI. And the philosophy here is so important. CQI is never, ever about finding someone to blame. It's about looking at a problem and asking, how can we make the system better so this doesn't happen again? And it works on this really simple but powerful four-step cycle. For example, plan. We notice our crews are struggling with a specific medical skill. Do. We try out a new training session with just a few crews. Study. We look at the data. Did their performance get better? Act. If it worked, awesome, we roll out the training to everybody. If not, we go right back to the plan phase and try something new. It's just a constant loop of learning and improving. We've covered the skills, the rules, and the system, but let's talk about the final, and maybe the most critical piece of the puzzle, who you are as a person. Because look, technical skill will only get you so far. Being a great EMT is all about character. You look at this list: integrity, empathy, self-motivation, teamwork. These aren't just buzzwords to put on a resume. These are the qualities that earn you the trust of your patient on the worst day of their life and the trust of your partner when everything goes sideways. It's about being the kind of person someone can count on no matter what. And all of these qualities, all of these professional standards, they all point to one single purpose that has to guide every single decision you make. Because at the end of the day, your most important job title is patient advocate. You are their voice when they can't speak for themselves. You're their protector when they're vulnerable, and their steady hand in a moment of pure chaos. Everything you do has to serve that one fundamental role. So there it is. Being an EMT is way more than just a job. It's being a skilled clinician, a navigator of a complex system, and a trusted patient advocate, all rolled into one. It's challenging, there's no question about it, but if you're looking for a way to make a real, profound difference in your community, this might just be the place for you.